Hey guys, it's Jenny with Becoming Homesteaders. Today will be my very first garden tour. Now it is fall, so this is simply just to give you an idea of what my gardens look like. Then starting next year, 2023, I'm hoping to do a garden tour once a month. Hey guys, it's Jenny with Becoming Homesteaders, and we have a beautiful day today. It's finally nice out. We've had some cold weather here forever in Ohio, my Ohio garden. And today I thought would be a perfect day to do some fall cleanup, some much needed fall cleanup. So I live in the city. I have a small yard, but I have several small gardens throughout my yard, and we make it work. So I wanted to bring you along today and introduce you to my gardens. My goal this coming year is to do a garden tour starting in January 1st. So I thought I would bring you along and let you see what they actually look like when there are plants and vegetables and flowers and things in them. So then you can kind of have something to compare it to next year when we start this. Like I said, I'd like to do a garden tour each month next year starting January, so the first of every month. So January 1st will be my first garden tour, so we will be out here in the snow, I'm sure. But I'm excited to get some stuff cleaned up today and make things look nice again and get things ready for spring planting. Okay, so this is very real. My gardens look awful. They're very ugly, but we are here today to do some garden cleanup. So I'm going to start in my herb garden that's up close to my house and give you a little tour of some things here in the herb garden. Okay, so this is the herb garden. We have several different kinds of herbs as well as some vegetables and a few flowers. So up here in the corner we have a chives. We have a potted oregano that needs moved. We have some marjoram, some thyme. We have parsley back here, more oregano here. We do have some volunteer cilantro there. So I don't know if we'll even use that. It just comes up on its own. Then over on this side, I have some pepper plants. And then hiding behind the pepper plant, we have another oregano. And this is just the best oregano. I don't even know what variety it is. It's so good though. We have lots of different pepper plants here. I have some banana peppers. We have some of those Korean red peppers back in the back that I made that hot sauce with. And then I have a clematis here that has been here since we moved in the house. So I can only imagine this guy is probably 25 years old. We have some rosemary. There are two different varieties here. I'm not really sure the varieties either because those have been here for a while. We have a beautiful new addition of lavender and a beautiful purple sage. Okay, so there's the herb garden, and directly over here is my strawberry bed. So I have no idea what variety these are. Once again, don't know. They are way too thick, and I'm actually thinking about replacing them with a different variety. So any suggestions on a really good variety that would do well in my Ohio Zone 6A garden, go ahead and leave me a comment. So then this is just a little extension. It usually has that beautiful hydrangea with some hostas. Those are going to get cleaned out today. Okay, so let's talk more about these strawberries. I do love them. They are very thick, like I already said, but they're not like really big, juicy strawberries. I've had them for several years, and I've made strawberry pie filling with them this year. I didn't really do any preserves because we still had some left over from last year. But I would just like a bigger strawberry that didn't take so much work, because these are so small. It takes a lot of work to, get the tops off, get them cleaned and processed. So, and I do feel like, oh look, there's my dog. I do feel like it just wouldn't be as much work if they were bigger, nicer, juicier strawberries. Okay, moving over from the strawberry bed and the hydrangea over to our middle flower bed. We have our wood pile back there for our fires this winter. And this is just a flower garden. So I think I talk about mulching. We mulch heavily with the leaves. We have several trees here in the yard. And then the middle teepee posts there, I tried a new green bean variety, and I don't know if it's really even considered a green bean or not. It was more of an ornamental bean, and I cannot remember the name of it, but it was beautiful red, vibrant flowers and these almost magical Jack-in-the-Beanstalk looking seed. So I will throw the name of that variety up here, but this is just the middle flower bed. It is quite the mess. So moving through here though, I do have some blueberries that we planted last year. So this is just the second year. So these guys are newbies. And again, I'll throw the variety up here. I can't remember what the variety is, but we're getting ready to mulch this area heavy with leaves to give them some protection. Okay, back at the herb garden, just so you have perspective on where all of my gardens are. This is over to the original garden that has been here for several years. It is fenced in and goes around to the other side. We'll talk about that in a little bit later on. This little area up here that is the tunnel that originally had carrots. Now there are some brassicas. I've got some cabbage and some broccoli varieties in there. I don't think they're gonna have enough time to mature, so I may need to think about starting those sooner. And then we have a few pepper plants up here. There's like 4. Again, those just didn't have enough time to mature. I have my rain barrel here. We have some morning glories. And then on the corner over here, right there, we have some Swiss chard and a kale that is hanging on. Okay, so moving on to the fenced-in older garden. This garden has been here for probably 20 years. This is where we have the cold weather crops right now, the brassicas. And then inside is where I had my tomatoes and peppers. There were sweet potatoes this year. So let's take a look. So I do have 4 rows of the cattle panel. Those were an experiment this year. I really loved having them. They were a little too close together, so I'll probably be revisiting that design next year. We have some Korean red peppers here. They did amazing. We have some poblano peppers and some jalapenos over here. That raised bed is where we had the sweet potatoes. That was a total fail. Rain barrel over in the corner. We like having the rain barrel. It does give us an extra water source when it rains. And then I do have a drip line here that we use. We can hook it up to the rain barrel, and we can also hook it up to our garden hose. So that makes it nice for watering. And then in the front of this garden, we have another bed. We utilize every space we can here. So this was used this year for snap peas and some extra peppers that I had. And then along the back side of that fence is usually where I put my garlic. So that right now has some brassicas, which again, I think I waited till too late to get those in, so I don't think they have enough time to mature. So that is the small fenced in garden, and we'll move on to the new garden. Okay, so this is the last of the gardens that I'm going to show you today. It is in the back corner. It is the newest garden. So we just put this in. This is its second year. We did add a little bit of space to it at the beginning of this season, but it was here last year. And I don't even remember what I planted last year. I had a lot of raised beds here last year, and just tried a lot of new things. But this year we were a little more serious and had a much more successful season this summer than last year back here. So here we go. Okay, so this is just a structure left over from my kids' swing set that we lowered the floor and made into, I don't even know, a little house. And the kids got me a chair to put in there. And we have some little lights on it. So this is in the very back, far right corner of my property. That's my lovely girl there sitting. And I have 2 of these whiskey barrels next to it. I usually just put greens in there. Right now we have some Swiss chard in both of them. And everything back here pretty much gets covered because we have such a deer population problem, and everything gets mowed down by the deer. This little raised bed I had squash and zucchini in, and it's not covered, so I can't plant anything in there because the squirrels dig it up. This bed also is a raised bed my husband made for me. I have spinach sown in there, but I believe it's too late for it to do any good this season. We made a cover for the top of it so that the squirrels wouldn't dig in my soil and the deer wouldn't eat it. Then moving this way, I have a raised bed behind the tomatillo plant. That has some imperial carrots, some green onions, a kale left over, and looks like some volunteer garlic in the back. And then my poor tomatillos, they did not get an early enough start, so there's lots of them on here, but they're just teeny tiny, so you can see that they just didn't have time to develop inside. So I may go ahead and try to pick them and see if I can do anything with them. This was my first year trying those. There's one there, and then one on this side as well over there. This is a raised bed that we had cucumbers in, and I had planted some nasturtiums in there with the cucumbers. Supposedly that's to deter the cucumber squash beetles, but I don't think it really helped. I didn't have much success with the cucumbers this year. The tomatillo over there. This is a raised bed. I had my celery in. It did amazing. There's a leftover Brussels sprout that's not going to do any good. We had calendula everywhere. These are my grapes. I'm so excited about these. This is their second year, so next year we are hoping to get fruit from them. They are a seedless Concord grape. And then there's another variety in there too, and I can't remember what it is. Okay, so moving up to the front of that back garden, there are the grapes that we planted. This is the first row. This is a new row that we did this year, and this was a no-till method that I kind of tweaked myself. Did very well. Those are some snapdragons that I started from seed. That was an amazing thing I did with the seeds this year. Very pleased with how that turned out. The second row there, I had sprouting broccoli in the spring, and then beans, which the deer ate all of them. So that was very sad, but next year we will be covering. Okay, that gives you kind of a side view of those 3 in-ground rows that we added this year. Actually, just the first 2 we added this year. That one in front of the raised bed was here last year. So we did extend this out as well a little bit this year, but that raised bed was here last year. We have some greens growing in there, a couple different varieties, and of course the netting, because the squirrels will dig it and the deer will eat it. So there is an EAZYLEAF mix in there from Gurney's. There is I can't remember all of the varieties, but tried some spinach. It did not come up. I'll list the varieties for you. But yeah, those seem to be doing well. And then in that covered thing, we have some kale that is trying to survive. Thought I would cover it and see if it maybe makes it till spring. And then this bed here was for pumpkins and butternut squash. Okay, I ran in and got my seed packets for these greens, and I took the cover off. These hoops are amazing. I got them on Amazon. They are the extra long ones. And then the covering is also amazing. It is very fine and like screen material almost. So no bugs can get in, no critters can get in as long as you staple it down well. So highly recommend those. I'll link both of those. I believe, I can't remember, so I'm not even gonna try, but I'll link all of that down below. So I believe that this is just a mix of different lettuces, was just in a random packet that I had. It seems to be doing the best. And then I don't know if you can see these little guys. Those are like a red leaf lettuce. They look pretty good. We have this little patch here, another little row of that leaf, or the red over there. But the last row back there and this first row up here was spinach and did not come up. So here are the varieties. So we have the EAZYLEAF mix, the red velvet mix, and then the Vulcan leaf lettuce. This was by far my favorite. I started this indoors this past spring and it did well. So there it is. That's the most recent garden that we have, and I'm excited to get a new layout for it next year. We may actually add to it over in this section here, but we'll see. And I also ran in the house and I got my seed packets, so I wanted to be able to tell you what they were. Unfortunately, it was just a mix, so, and it really doesn't say what was in it. It's a different variety, so that one seems to be doing well back there. And I also had this baby romaine, the red one. I know romaine really doesn't do well. It's not cold hardy, but we'll see. If we get some, which I'm sure we'll get a little bit from it, then that's all that matters. So the other ones, that Vulcan from Johnny's was my favorite. This one was by far the best tasting. It didn't bolt. We had lettuce well into June and July. There was no bitter flavor. You know, sometimes the heat can cause the lettuces to become bitter. These were crisp and sweet. They held their shape well. So we just harvested and harvested from these lettuces. So great variety to try. Johnny's seed, I'll link all of those down below. And then the EAZY mix from Gurney's and the red velvet from Gurney's. Those are new varieties that I'm trying out this fall. So I didn't try those in the spring. So we'll see how those go. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today in my yard. I thoroughly enjoy gardening, and I'm so excited to bring you guys along next year for my garden tours. And I'm hoping this will motivate both of us. Hopefully it'll motivate me to get out there and make things look nice and keep up with my gardens. And hopefully it'll motivate you to maybe go out and try something different, add more flower beds and gardens, and just to get your hands in the soil and breathe in some fresh air. All right, guys, thanks so much again for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video.